Sarah Steinberg is one of the popular high school kids. She hangs with the cool group, consisting of Kiana, Blair, and Jess. But like all popular teen protagonists, she was once the shy best friend of the unpopular class nerd, Haley, but they've since grown apart. Skylar, who just returned from a trip with his parents to Mexico, is Sarah's ex-boyfriend. Apparently, they broke up since Skylar wanted to get intimate, but Sarah refused, so he left her. She tries to get back with him, but Skylar's priorities have shifted over the summer. He's all into studying now. At recess, Kiana tells the group about the back-to-school party she's throwing at her parents' house tomorrow night. She also keeps emphasizing the fact that Skylar is Sarah's ex-boyfriend now. So Sarah calls her out for being jealous and wanting Skylar all for herself, which shuts her up. That night, Sarah tries to win over Skylar by going to his house and seducing him. Skylar doesn't have a condom. He's always been a raw dogger anyway. 10 seconds in, and he's coming in pain, but he enjoyed it. Though it wasn't a very pleasant first time for Sarah. When Sarah asks if he pulled out, he freaks out for a moment, but she reassures him that it will all be fine before leaving back to her place. The next morning, Sarah awakens fully pregnant and due.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
She freaks out and jumps out her bedroom window before her mom can come in to wake her. Realizing that Kiana isn't the right person to talk to about this, Sarah goes to Haley's place and begs for her help. They both freak out, but conclude that Skylar must have something to do with it. Something must have mutated his balls back in Mexico, perhaps some radioactive chimichangas? But Sarah refuses to involve Skylar in all of this as she's scared he'll leave her after finding out. They both decide the hospital is the best place to be, so they rush over and a nurse does an ultrasound. She follows the normal protocol, but they both keep trying to tell her about the weird circumstances surrounding the pregnancy while she completely ignores them. She's startled by the sight of something strange she spots on the monitor, so she hurries to get the doctor to take a look. When the doctor arrives, he assures Sarah that there's nothing he hasn't seen before. Right before getting to work, that's when her vagina cannonballs his
face off.
It appears a lobster-like alien thingy with incredible agility and strength is shot out of her, and now it's springing all over the room. Talk about a bouncing baby. The lights go off, and the alien creeps behind Sarah and Haley, right before launching at the nurse and burrowing its tail into her spine, taking over her brainstem and controlling her body. Sarah manages to dismount the thing with a defibrillator, and they both run for the car and get the hell out of there. A bystander, noticing the scene, makes his way inside the building and becomes the alien's next host. Sarah and Haley stop at a gas station and start losing their minds over what just happened. Then, something inside of her belly kicks, and they both realize that another one of those things is still inside of her. Meanwhile, Officer Ruiz arrives at the hospital after reports of a disturbance and stumbles upon the gruesome scene in the delivery room. There, he finds a patient check-in form filled in by Sarah, so he goes looking for her while backup arrives. Haley drives them over to Sarah's house, and she sneaks past her mom, who then leaves for the night shift, and goes to her room, where they start brainstorming ideas about how to get that thing out of her. Haley has an idea. Last semester, when they went on a field trip, their science professor, David, had spotted a deer that was 3 weeks overdue, so he mixed up a concoction and injected the deer with it, and it went straight into labor. They decide to give it a try and drive out to David's cabin near the woods, all the while unconscious of the fact that the alien had been following them the entire time. It tries to latch onto the car, but only manages to nab the license plate as they zoom away. When they arrive at David's place and tell him everything, he immediately believes their entire story. Being high on pot really helps sell it. David deduces that the alien is actually an undiscovered species of parasite that latched onto Sarah, so he agrees to help them get rid of it and get started making the concoction, which he calls Uteratone, that must be injected directly into Sarah's uterus to induce labor. As he does so, Skylar calls Sarah, and she pretends as if she has a stomach bug. Well, technically she does, so she can't come see him. Skylar begins acting really weird. He's extremely horny and can't think about anything other than sex, so Sarah hangs up. Officer Ruiz gets back on the road after finding that nobody was at home at Sarah's place. That's when he finds the license plate and traces the car back to Haley's dad, and he realizes Haley's name was also on the patient admission form. David starts up the wood chipper and aims Sarah at it as he begins to administer the Uteratone, but nothing happens when he empties the entire syringe full of it into her womb. It's as if the thing inside of her doesn't want to come out. David says that if they inject another full dose of Uteratone into Sarah, it may terminate the pregnancy and kill the thing, so they decide to go that route. But they're interrupted by Officer Ruiz busting through the cabin doors and arresting all of them. Sarah's mom is then called to the police station and she goes hysterical, thinking her daughter is going to end up just like her, a single mom. She believes herself to be a terrible mother, not realizing her own daughter was pregnant this entire time. Officer Ruiz takes her outside and tries to calm her down. Then, he shoots his shot, and Sarah's mom just can't resist the Riz de Ruiz. He's got a thing for abuelas. Officer Ruiz gives Sarah and her mom some time alone so he can find out the truth about what happened to the gynecologist and the nurse. When Sarah keeps insisting that it was an alien lobster thingy, her mom gets angry, but then they hear some commotion outside. The alien has tracked down Sarah at the police station. When all the officers pull out their guns, the alien growls, causing all of them to open fire. The thing then attacks the officers one by one as they scream in terror. Sarah, Haley and her mom run away and enter the cell David is being held in. David has another theory. The thing inside of Sarah is communicating with the alien via radio waves, transmitting her location and allowing it to track her down. He then tells them that the rest of the Uteratone was confiscated by Officer Ruiz and is in the evidence locker. So they make their way there, while officers are being slaughtered all around them. They run into Officer Ruiz, and Sarah's mom still can't resist. The alien cock blocks Ruiz while he works his charm, but he fights back, only for it to take control of him, stab him in the eye and punch him in the face. David knocks it away and tells the girls to get to the evidence room while he distracts the alien, only to end up dying a gruesome death seconds later. As the alien murders its way through the resistance, the girls rush to find a thumbprint that will unlock the evidence room door. Eventually, they find the right one, but it's too late. Sarah's mom tries to sacrifice herself while shutting the door, but the alien takes control of her, and stumbles into the room and knocks Haley away. It inches closer to Sarah, and screeches, causing her to go into labor. She then painfully births an even larger, uglier prawn-looking thing, and slips out of consciousness due to the trauma. When she wakes up, she's at Skylar's place. Apparently, Haley had called him after the thing had left with her mother and the other parasite and while Sarah was out, so he drove over to the station and picked the both of them up. Even though Skylar is traumatized by the sight of all those dead cops, he's more concerned with trying to get all up in Sarah's guts once again. Sarah keeps asking whether he knew about the alien parasite, and what happened in Mexico, but he keeps deflecting the question and gaslighting her while offering to console her with sex, but she refuses over and over until he gets annoyed and leaves. On his way, he tries to distract himself from his horniness with music, but everything on the radio is all about sex, and it's driving him crazy. He has to fuck. He must fuck. He will fuck. Just then, Kiana shoots her shot while at her party. After texting Skylar with no response, she decides to unleash the emojis. The alien, still controlling Sarah's mom, heads into a grocery store and murders everyone and feeds them to the newborn alien, which then strings its goo all over the place and builds a cocoon for itself. The lone survivor of the attack, hiding in the refrigerator, calls the police station. Officer Ruiz, surprisingly, is still alive. He answers the call and heads over to the grocery store. Sarah then remembers that Skylar had recorded his entire trip to Mexico as part of a school project, so she looks for his camera with Haley. They find his laptop hidden next to the toilet, but it's password protected, so they go to Haley's older brother, Jerome, who is extremely tech savvy. He unlocks the laptop and they find the entire archive of videos on his trip to Mexico. They skim through and find a recording where Skylar's parents take him to an ancient Mayan museum. The tour guide talks about the statues symbolizing fertility, so Skylar decides to play with the genitals of one of them and it snaps off, and the statue sprays a gas into his face. Sarah notices that all of the paintings surrounding the area have to do with fertility as well, more specifically about the procreation of this alien parasite. As they scroll through the video, they spot more and more clues about the alien. They discover that the alien gas came down to Earth in a meteorite thousands of years ago, and the second alien Sarah gave birth to is actually the queen. And when she's ready she will mate with the little soldier alien, producing the pink alien breeding gas, which she will then disperse into the atmosphere and people will breed more of the aliens as they have sex. This is why Skylar is so horny. The gas is pushing him to breed more aliens by 10xing his sex drive. They look for more clues searching for a way to destroy the aliens and stop the spread, but the final painting shows that the only way to stop the aliens is to burn them, and everything and everyone that has been infected by the parasite. Haley says that if they can find the alien queen before she mates with the little soldier, or while they're mating, they can burn and kill them and then they won't have to burn down everything and everyone. So, they just have to find out where the queen is. Since Jerome works in the tech department for the biggest security company in town, they urge him to call his buddies at the headquarters and find out if anyone had reported anything unusual in the area. Jerome finds out that there's one grocery store in the area that usually sets their alarm before closing, but tonight they didn't. Officer Ruiz arrives at the grocery store and gets the survivor to safety before heading in through the back door and entering the surveillance room. There, he sees the queen alien's cocoon on the damaged security cam's monitor and decides to stack up a bunch of propane gas canisters right behind the wall it's resting against and shoot them to cause an explosion big enough to kill the queen and destroy the entire store. As he takes aim, the telephone rings and he answers the call. It's Sarah. She's happy to know he's alive and asks if her mom is with him. Just then, he notices her mom, controlled by the alien, on the monitor and decides not to go ahead with the plan so that he doesn't kill her. As Haley and Sarah make their way there in Jerome's car, the damaged camera glitches for a second and Officer Ruiz sees Sarah's mom and the Queen vanish right before his eyes. He rushes to his car and follows in hot pursuit. When Sarah and Haley arrive to an empty wasted store, they wonder where the aliens could have gone now. Sarah realizes that the aliens must be attracted to the pheromones of horny people, as that increases their chances of breeding. So, the alien would be heading towards a big group of horny sex-fueled people if it can find any. And she realizes it must be drawn to Kiana's house party. So they head over and crash the party, armed with jumper cables and a wooden sword. They try to get everyone to leave by saying the police are on their way, but nobody cares. All the while Sarah's mom is trapped against a wall, in alien slime, and she is forced to watch the aliens get it on in Kiana's basement. Then, the alien comes and the pink alien baby gas enters its first stage of development. Sarah hears Kiana and Skylar getting it on in her bedroom and she interrupts them before Skylar can finish. Skylar is pissed, but Sarah drags him out of the room. Skylar gets up and tries to go at it again with Kiana in front of everyone, but she denies him, even after he says he loves her. So he turns to Sarah and tells her he loves her, and tries to do it with her, but she refuses to. So he shouts for somebody to please f*** him, right before Sarah knocks him out. Then, the tiny alien emerges from the basement and takes over Kiana and throws one of the teens into a table, causing everyone to panic and run for their lives. Sarah and Haley fight the alien and manage to electrocute it off Kiana. It takes over Jess and knocks Haley out. As Sarah tries desperately to wake her friend up, the alien takes over Skylar and chokes Sarah out slowly. Haley awakens and electrocutes Skylar's boner with the jumper cable, sending the alien flying into an open blender, and Sarah turns it into a yummy alien smoothie. Crunchy. Then, she heads into the basement armed with supplies including the Uteratone, and locks the door, preventing Haley from following her in. She finds the Queen asleep as the pink gas develops inside of it. She frees her mom from the alien goo and helps her out of the basement window. Before she can climb out herself, the Queen awakens and attacks her, pinning her to the ground. Sarah locks its jaws with the wooden sword and notices that the Queen had knocked open a gas pipe, so she tries to reach for the lighter and blow up the entire basement. But then she realizes an even better option would be to neutralize the pink gas by tossing all of the Uteratone into the alien's mouth, killing off the breeding process. Haley breaks into the basement and helps Sarah up as the Queen explodes. Sarah and Haley become best friends once again, and Officer Riz is still going hard with it. One-eyed Riz Ruiz. As for Skylar, he's subdued and driven out of town by Nick Cage and another woe man in black to Area 69, where he'll be able to milk himself as much as he wants. Thanks for watching. Check out our other videos and consider subscribing for more. We love having you on our channel.